All right, here we are. Hey, everybody, happy Monday. Welcome to April and welcome to our masterclass here at the Ojo Select Network. My name is Jeremiah Taylor. I'm your Vice President of Real Estate and Mortgage here at Ojo Labs. See already 100 of you in the chat. It's going to be another amazing masterclass. As you join, jump in the chat. I'll go first. And as always, tell us where you're joining from today. I'm in lovely Austin, Texas, and I say lovely because it's 75 outside today and it's not 100 and humid yet. So we're enjoying it here in Austin. For those of you trickling in, welcome. My name is Jeremiah Taylor. Thank you so much for joining us for our April masterclass. We have a tremendous speaker and actually a tremendous interviewer as well today. So it's going to be a huge amount of value-added content for you all today. And we'll get it started here in just one more minute. So as you're joining, jump in the chat. Tell us where you're joining from. I see everywhere from Maryland to California, Tampa, Florida, San Diego. Heller, your team is representing in San Diego. Yucca Valley. It's amazing. Frisco, Texas. Apopka, Florida. That's a new one. I've not heard of Apopka until now. Okay. Everybody, welcome. My name is Jeremiah Taylor. I'm your Vice President of Real Estate and Mortgage here at Ojo Labs. Thank you again for joining us for our April Masterclass. We're going to get right to it. So if you haven't already, post up in the chat where you're joining us from. Here's our plan for today. We've got an interview between our Chief Real Estate Officer, Chris Heller, and the founder and one of the most iconic players in all of the real estate industry, Craig Reger. Now, if you're on our Stump the Script Master last month, Craig led that. This month, we wanted to get Craig back to interview him and get some thoughts and best practices because in his world, he oversees over 1,200 agents in his brokerage. The coaching company, Reger Coaching and Consulting, that he founded and operates, touches thousands of agents all over the country. And he's going to bring amazing perspective for you, insights on lead conversion, best practices. And I'll tell you right now, if you don't have something to write with, you're going to want to get it because there are going to be nuggets, there are going to be takeaways. Now, a little bit of housekeeping. This is recorded. At the end, we will cut it up. We will send it out. Now, I'm going to tell you, you want to stay tuned for the last 5 minutes because we're going to give you some hot tips on how to win with Ojo. And we're bringing back our merch giveaway. So as I hand it off to Craig, go down to the bottom of your Zoom screen, find the button called Q&A, click that, and get ready to fire up some questions because the next 45 minutes is going to be action and content packed. And I will turn it over to my friend, Chris Heller, to interview Craig.
Hey, everybody. This is Chris Heller, Chief Real Estate Officer here at Ojo. Thanks for taking time out of your day. We do these to provide value for you. We get value from them. And we know you do also based on the feedback. So thanks again for being here. Craig, let's jump right into it. There's a lot of things that we do at Ojo that agents are doing in their business every day, right? We're connecting consumers and real estate agents. Agents are connecting with consumers every day. There's a concept that you guys teach called connect, set, and learn. And I wonder if you can just talk about that for a minute and explain why it's so important in meeting new consumers.
Thanks, Chris. Thank you, Ojo. Jeremiah, thanks for the introduction. Chris, the opportunity. Big fan of Ojo. Really excited to share with your audience. And what an appropriate time of year. Like, is today tax day or is tomorrow tax day? I don't know. I got mine done a little earlier this year. But bottom line, we're through Q1. And so we've got like less than 9 months left to accomplish what we want to accomplish this year. And I love that we're opening up with Connect, Set, Learn. It's philosophy. So yes, I'm the founder of a coaching company. We work nationally, but I've got a real estate brokerage right here in Portland, Oregon. My team is about 70 yards away, and we do our best every day to give great service to our clients and sell a bunch of homes. And Connect, Set, Learn is a strategy I started incorporating a few years ago, Chris. And in transparency, it was frightening for me. Because really what it is, it's connecting quickly with a client, setting an appointment specifically with online leads like Ojo, not taking them through a deep qualification process, learning a short amount about them or learning a little bit about them in a short amount of time. Like these calls are typically 2 or 3 minutes, and it just really goes away from my fabric as a 25-year veteran of pre-qualifying and holding a buyer consult and going through a series of questions before I quote unquote waste my time with them. My favorite way to look at Connect, Set, Learn, or at least when I teach it to agents, is the world has become on demand. Think about Uber. Think about Amazon. My wife and I were traveling this week. We were in South Carolina visiting our son at Clemson. And the ability to push a button and if all goes well, have an Uber driver show up in 3 to 11 minutes later. It truly is the easy button. And if I look at it from the way that I've traditionally conducted real estate, what if I push that Uber button and that driver calls me rather than shows up in 3 to 11 minutes and starts asking me a series of questions like, hey, Craig, it's raining in South Carolina. Are you going to get mud in my car? Or, hey, Craig, is your visa going to work? Or, hey, Craig, I realize it's 10 o'clock at night and I'm picking you up in a district of town that has bars and restaurants. Have you been drinking? Do I need, if they ask me all these questions, reality is, Chris, I'd either start walking or I'd call a taxi or find another means to get home. Same thing with Amazon. I push a button and in typically less than 24 hours, there's a box sitting on my doorstep the next afternoon. It's the easy button. And it's what consumers want. So in the Connect, it's really simple. It's high enthusiasm. It's sharing with them. If it's an Ojo lead, why Ojo connected you. You're a select partner. Out of all the agents in the market, you're a local expert. And they pass it off because they want you connected with somebody that knows the market as well as us. It's mirroring and matching. It's being enthusiastic. That's the Connect. It's like a 15 to 30 second opportunity to connect at a high level, mirror and match, show enthusiasm. The set is where the magic happens. And this is where, and I've listened to thousands of calls from agents to get these types of leads. And this is typically where instead of setting, Chris, they're going into a pre-qualification process.
Yeah.
Are you working with an agent? Have you been pre-approved? How long have you been looking? And the consumer did not connect with Ojo or other lead sources that are similar because they wanted to get engaged with an agent to ask all these questions. They actually just want to see the home. And so that set is the most important thing that can happen. We know and statistics show that a client is 300% more likely to work with you if you meet them. 300% more likely.
Yeah, it's amazing. We get to watch what happens downstream. So the amount of agents that give up on a consumer because they said they were working with another agent or that they didn't think they qualified. And then we watch and see how many of those consumers actually buy properties. It's amazing the opportunities that agents miss out on. Everyone knows an agent, and working with an agent can mean anything from, yeah, I met an agent once to they're actually writing offers with an agent and everything in between. And usually it's everything in between. So don't get stopped by that. Do what Craig says, connect with them, set an appointment, learn. That's your opportunity to build trust and rapport, and then to share your value proposition and get a commitment and give a commitment. So great stuff, especially for what a large part of our audience is doing. What about, Craig, what about for leads that have been in the database for a while or that someone got last year? What's the best way to try to revive those? Agents make two mistakes that I see. One is they give up too quickly on follow-up. And the other is that they get stopped very easily because they don't know what to say or what to do, or they've run out of things to say. What's your best approach for reviving those old opportunities?
Well, number one is I think it's the greatest gold mine in the business right now. Let's look at what happened in 2022. There was a group of buyers, at least through March, April, potentially May, that backed out of the market because to win in Q1 of 2022 in most markets, if not all of them around the country, meant that you were competing at 5 to 25 plus offers. You were removing most of your contingencies, in some cases, even home inspection. You were offering tens, if not hundreds of thousands above asking. And shocker, there was a group of buyers who just said, you know what, I know this is what it's going to take to win in this market. I'm going to pause. Or in agents world, we're like, hey, they ghosted us, right? For whatever reason, they just paused. Then there's the next thing that happened in the market, and literally it's 1 year ago, this week is when it started, is rates went up 3% in 90 days, Chris. That was the largest rate increase in the history of America in a 90-day period, is rates more than doubled in 90 days. And so there was another group that was active in the market that paused. And what I often heard from the folks we coach or agents on my team is they were ghosting us. and just disappeared, stopped getting back with us. So when you ask about reconnecting with these old leads, number one, it's a mindset. Like there is a large group of them, an incredibly large group of them that have re-entered the market or about to re-enter the market. So just because they ghosted you in May, June, July, August, September, don't think that that's not worth your time and energy to reach out and reconnect with them now. It is a literal gold mine. We did a report on my own team, and the average buyer that we sold a house to in March had first been connected with us 6 to 7 months ago. The average buyer we put in pending, we first met 6 to 7 months ago. And then the second part of it is when I've got the mindset, it's a gold mine. It's what we like to do here in our team or our coaching company. We want to hand out gold bars. So rather than calling and being like, hey, Jeremiah, or hi, Chris, I'm checking in, we want to give an item of value. And there's so much value in this market right now that will get the needle moving forward or strengthen a relationship rather than a check-in conversation. An example of that would be like in my local market last week alone, we had 303 price reductions. And we're not a big market here in Portland, Oregon, but there was 303 price reductions. So our script for that week is re-engaging with those old leads. Maybe we haven't talked to you in 4 or 5 or 6 months. And it's like, hey, Chris, it's Craig Reger with Reger Homes. I know we haven't spoken in a bit. I don't know if you're planning to be active in the spring market. And last week alone, we had 303 sellers raise their hand and literally say, I want to sell my home and I'm willing to reduce the price and take less to find a buyer. So the reason I'm reaching out, Chris, if you're looking for a good deal, there's 303 sellers that said, I'll give you a good deal if you pick my property. Would you like to get back together and talk about what's going on? So that's an example of a gold bar. We've got a property today that we have multiple offers on. It's a seller. We first engaged with them in August, and that seller was planning on hitting the market this late summer. And we let them know that because of the shortage of inventory we have here in Portland, Oregon, we're back to seeing some multiple offers. We planted that seed 40 days ago, and 7 days ago, they chose to hit the market and sell 4 or 5 weeks prior to what they originally expected. So anytime we can find an opportunity in the market, we label that as a gold bar, and then we share it with the audience, especially those leads that backed out in Q2, 3, and 4.
I love that. Delivering value on the calls and as we follow up with our databases and even our spheres is so important. The check-in, how are you doing? Checking in on you. There's no value in that. The value is in those type of gold bars that you just shared, Craig. How about the concept of agents that they just get fatigued? They get fatigued with continuing to follow up, or just get fatigued period in the business and are dealing with burnout because the last several years have been at such a fast pace. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, it's been a crazy ride. We go through what I'm labeling as a COVID market, which was the insanity of multiple offers and everything I just discussed, to, hey, we're going back to maybe more traditional real estate where you no longer meet people on Tuesday and you're writing offers by Wednesday at 100,000 over asking. And so it's taking more work to convert. So burnout's real. The first thing I would share is identify work off a pipeline. Right? This is something I firmly believe in that I don't see most agents doing. Have a written sheet of paper or typed out, some type of spreadsheet with all of your buyers and rank them as A, B, or C's. And in our definition, we've all heard A, B's, and C's. Like A's are motivated, plan to purchase the next 30 days. B's are like 30 to 60 days, and C's are beyond 90 days. Something like that we've all heard. Our definition here at Reger Coaching is a little bit different, similar but different. A's take your advice. So in a red hot market, in a competitive home, when you've got a good relationship with the listing agent, they're giving you indications of where your client's going to need to be out of the 5 offers that have come in, and you share with your client, Chris, if you want any chance of winning on this property, you're going to come in 50,000 over asking or more. You may have to shorten your home inspection. You're going to have to give them a 30-day free rent back. If they're capable of doing so, and A takes it your advice. B, on the other hand, has a really different mindset. Their mindset is if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. So on those ones, you tell them, well, Chris, I think you got to come in 10, 20,000 over asking. And they say, you know what, let's just offer full price. If it works out, it works out. And then C's, of course, have something more going on. They need a home they have to sell, or there's a job transfer they're waiting for to get signed off on. So on burnout, Chris, I see a lot of agents spending a tremendous amount of time with B's and C's. And by default, it makes sense because guess what? The A's find a way to conduct real estate regardless of market conditions, regardless of interest rates. A's buy and sell homes. A's price appropriately to sell their home. A's do what's necessary on the buy side to buy. And so by default, we burn through our A's and we get left with B's and C's. And we spend this tremendous amount of time working with them. And they don't take our advice. So more often than not, they don't procure the property that they're interested in, or they find an excuse like the kitchen is the wrong paint color. They don't move forward. So number one is get really clear with your clients is, are you working with A, B's or C's? And what I really encourage is don't tell the B's and C's like, I'm not working with your bad people. What I'm sharing is don't spend your physical time with them. Those are the folks that you keep apprised of the market. You're sharing gold bar opportunities in certain price points, neighborhoods, new construction, condominiums, luxury, but you're not out physically spending your time with them. So the goal is every day is to wake up and find a group of A, B's, and C's. The B's and C's you put into your CRM, you stay in relationship with, and the A's are the ones that you actually put in your car, because it's really hard to have burnout when people are winning and excited and motivated to take your advice. Like burnout goes away. The second thing I'd share just really quickly on burnout, it's often a relationship. Something that will solve burnout is often a relationship. That can be a new builder client that brings you a bunch of business. It can be an investor that does a bunch of flips a year. It could be a new team member, like a buyer's agent, and you're really excited to pour into him or her and help their success grow. So it's typically burnout comes, in my experience, from working with unmotivated people and or lacking a relationship inside your business.
Yeah, I love it. Totally agree. Those are probably the two biggest issues. When it comes to follow-up, a lot of agents, a lot of teams right now are very conscious of what they're spending their time and money on. A lot of people are pulling back because of the market's changed. How do you be effective in follow-up and when you're at the same time and trying to cut costs and on some of the stuff you were doing to stay in touch and follow up with people? What do you recommend to your clients?
Yeah, I agree with Wanda, who just typed in the chat bar. It's all about the follow-up. Well, last time I checked, Mr. Heller, none of us are cutting this expense, right? We've got it. It's probably the last thing that we'll cut as an expense, and we won't even cut it. It'll be cut for us if we go that broke, which hopefully should never happen to any of us, is texting, emailing, phone calls, pop buys. All of those are completely free. So it's to possibly sound redundant, but it's not that hard. It's more of a discipline every single day. If you spend some time and you look at your local market and you find those opportunities in the market, the gold bars, and then you simply reach out to your clients via email, text, phone call, social media messages, potential pop buys, and you share those opportunities in the market, there will be a group that resonates with that. There'll be a group that starts raising their hand saying, hey, can we talk more about this? So is this a time potentially to start a massive mail campaign or to start a farm? Maybe. If you've got the financial backing to do that, go for it. But we know, for example, a farm from start is going to take a solid 12 to 24 months before you start seeing a consistent return. So I'm going to go to the high impact, low cost activities, which is getting in front of my clients, like client appreciation events. We've got we don't have as much sun here as Jeremiah was indicating you guys have in Austin, but in Portland, Oregon, the sun is starting to pop out here in mid-April. We've got a great event coming up in early May, and it's going to be a snow cone event. And so our office is right by a school. We invite the parents from the school. We invite our database, and we're going to give out 500, 600, 700 snow cones, which is a couple $1,000 investment, but we'll have a few of our home inspector helping with that cost. We'll have our lender helping with that cost. So at the end of the day, it's going to cost us virtually nothing to get in front of 500 or 600 either potential clients or past clients. Those are always great activities for a very small investment. But at the end of the day, Chris, nothing's going to be blocking on your schedule, picking up your phone and reaching out to your old leads, your past clients, your family and friends, and asking them how spring has gone so far, providing some value of what's actually happening in the market versus what they're seeing on the news, and strengthening that relationship.
I think everyone knows they should do that, right? In fact, most things in real estate, there's no real secrets. Everyone access to information of what you should do and how to do things is everywhere, and great information like you're providing. What do you think stops agents from doing the things they know they should be doing?
That could be a long list. Fear of rejection. Lack of structure, lack of discipline, In some cases, I've even seen fear of success, like self-sabotage, getting busy on what we call the busy work. Like, no matter what you do, go and hold 6 open houses and you're going to procure a client or several clients and you're probably going to get a house in escrow. Call 100 expireds, odds are you're going to get a listing. Reach out to 200 or 300 old leads from Q2 or 3. High probability 6, 7, or 10 of them are going to say perfect timing. We're about to re-engage in the market. Of that, 2 or 3 of them are probably A. So you do any single activity, you're going to get results from it. And what happens is that you automatically stop doing the activity that gave you the results and you're focused on that now piece of business. And when you focus on that now piece of business, you're dictated by the market, by their motivation, by their financing, by how many offers a seller may get. And the odds of being successful with that client are possible, but not guaranteed. But if you can have that discipline for just an hour or 2 a day and reach out, I don't believe the vast majority of the people on today's call actually have to do lead generation, Chris. They really don't. Like, there's enough leads that Ojo or open houses or Boomtown or Sync or Wailopa or whatever their sphere of influence that have created for them. I don't believe that, back in the day when you had 2 headsets and we're calling thousands of people a week. I'm not saying that's not a great productive task to do daily, but for the vast majority of us, we just have to do lead follow-up. We just have to reach out and re-engage and strengthen relationships and provide value. So why they're not doing it is also the bad habits that came from the COVID market. We were literally meeting people. It was just unreal. You'd meet people on Tuesday, and by Thursday, you're writing offers at well above asking. And whether you won or not, you're repeating that process again 2 or 3 days later. And it's a reality check. Like, they're still holding on to that was the way that was to be successful in real estate. And that was a very unique time in history. And to be successful now, you actually have to have some discipline, a time block calendar, and build relationships every single day.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, I think there's one other piece too, and that is that as agents, we tend to overthink things, and we talk ourselves out of too many things. Like, oh, I'm going to be bothering them, or nothing's changed, or you have this internal negotiation that goes on versus just taking the action. See that all the time. What there's whether it's a Ojo opportunity or any type of introduction that a consumer an agent gets with a consumer, we talk about the speed to lead and how important that is. How do you weigh that against just the long-term follow-up? And is one more important than the other, or do you focus on one more than the other with your clients?
I focus on both. Number one is on the connect, set, learn. Right? Connect, enthusiasm, set the appointment, get in front of them, 300% more likely. And to learn is they found this property online. There's a high probability there's going to be more properties they've identified they want to see. Or learn, to me in the connect, set, learn is, Chris, out of all the houses for sale in Austin, Texas, why did you pick this one? Oh, it's the school district we want. It's close to our parents who are going to help be some leverage for our kids. Or there's that learn piece of it. And that becomes a really big piece of it. Sorry, I went down that bunny trail. What was your exact question?
Just the balancing our speed to lead and our focus on those initial contacts and those initial introductions versus the long-term follow-up.
Yeah, thanks for bringing me home. The reason I circle back to connect, set, learn is number one, don't blow the initial call. Right? If they push the button for the Uber driver and they want somebody to show up 7 to 11 minutes later and take them safely to their destination, and you start peppering them with a bunch of pre-qualification questions, you've blown that lead possibly, or it's going to be much more difficult to build and strengthen that relationship after they had this in mind when Ojo connected them and you presented this to them. So speed to lead is be available. Focus on connect, set, learn. That's critical. Don't blow that upfront call. And then what we're finding, or as I just shared for my own team in Q1, the average online lead that we got in contract was just over 6 months since we'd first been connected with them. So it's don't blow the first lead, get in front of them, and then stay in relationship, keep providing items of value. So it's equally are both important at this stage in the market. If you asked me that same question 9 or 10 months ago, I would say it's only speed to lead. The other thing I'd share on speed, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I wanted you to repeat one thing you said. What was the average length of time of the properties that you guys have gotten under contract?
For my team, we just ran a report on Q1. We have a lot of online lead sources, including Ojo, which we're very grateful for. The average person that we put in pending status in Q1, we'd shaken our hand for the first time or were connected by companies like Ojo just over 6 months ago. I think it was like 187 days.
Yeah, I think that's so important for everyone to hear, right? There's some people that you get introduced to that are, what we would term as now business, but the majority of them are future business. And it's the agents that really convert at the highest level and that they're most effective are the ones that are able to convert on those ones that take longer. That's as we said, and I think someone may have said in the chat, that's where the gold is. So.
Yeah, let's call it like it is, Chris. There was a lot of cherry picking in the hot market, right? Because I mean, like I've said it 3 times now, you would meet people on Tuesday and by Wednesday or Thursday, folks you barely know, you're saying, hey, remove all your contingencies and come in $50,000 over asking. We're like, okay. So that was cherry picking. In today's world, so you could get a bunch of leads, cherry pick the group that was willing to do that and get a bunch of homes under contract. In today's world, it's actually following the connect, set, learn, getting in front of them, and then building and strengthening that relationship over a period of time, not checking in, providing those gold bars, and there'll be a large group that wants to do business. The only other thing I'd add to that is in the cherry picking, we see this a lot in our coaching companies. Be really careful not to get too many leads. Right? Like if you get too many leads, number one is you may be tied up and you can't get speed to lead. We actually have scripts that we practice with our team, and these are for established clients, not brand new clients. And it's like, hey, Chris, I know we've been working together for a few weeks. I may get a couple of calls today while we're out showing properties. If I step out, I promise it won't be more than 2 to 3 minutes, but I just want to make you aware of that. Because I don't want to miss that Ojo connection when it comes in. And on the flip side, I don't want to get too many Ojo connections that I'm trying to cherry pick, which is very difficult in this market when many consumers are not conducting business for 60, 90, or 180 days. So I want to get a controllable amount of leads. I want to set my client and my schedule's expectations that I can field those leads when they come in and do my best to be speed to lead and then have time block in my calendar to follow up over a period of time to find them motivated when they're ready to conduct business.
Yeah. I love it. Love it. Hey, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about listings.
Love it.
We know you got a list to last. You want to control the inventory. Those with the inventory are the ones that control their business and their lives. What in this market, what are you coaching people to do to capitalize on listing opportunities?
One is share the opportunities in the market, right? Like I'll share it with the group, or I can get it over to Jenna if she'd like to. But we just wrote a blog on this and sent it to our clients last week. Is we are still in an inventory crunch around the country. We just are. Like my market alone had 820 listings hit the market this week last year. So a week ago, April 4th through April 10th, we had 820 listings hit the market. This year, same week, 596. That's a 30% decline. 30% decline. Now, what we're finding is that there's 2 different tails of the market when these 596 hit. There's a group that's priced appropriately, marketed appropriately, and they're selling almost immediately and often with multiple offers. And there's another group that's not, and they're sitting and price reductions are necessary. So sharing with our audience, our listing leads, our clients, our database, that actually, I really believe it's a great time to sell your home. It's in most markets around the country, it is substantially better market for sellers Q1 than Q3 and 4 were last year, and even parts of Q2. So getting the messaging out that, yeah, you may see that sales are down in my market 35 to 40% in a given week. But for the few sellers that are hitting the market, there's still an abundance of buyers. There's more buyers competing because there's so few sellers that it's again creating this demand and multiple offers in many cases. So we're sharing that message. We also are really big proponents, Chris, of getting more listing business off of our sellers. And this is kind of a crazy out of the box strategy. We had a coaching client a few months ago generate over $100,000 in GCI off of this strategy. So Chris, I'm at your house. You've selected me to be your agent, and we're kind of wrapping up. And towards the end of it, I might share, hey, Chris, I'm really thankful you chose me as your agent. We've got a great price, a great marketing strategy. I know you're going to do the right staging. Can I ask for one more piece of your help to potentially get you more offers?
Absolutely.
Perfect. All right, this one's a little wild. I'm going to do all the work. I just need your permission with it. I'm going to reach out to my title company. I'm going to get a list, Chris, of your nearest 100 neighbors. And from that, I'm going to send a letter, but here's the crazy part. It's going to come from you and Nina. It's not going to come from me. And it's just going to say, dear neighbors, it's Chris and Nina. We're on 123 Main Street, Austin, Texas. We're the house with the red door and the 2 puppies. We just want to let you know that we've listed our house with Craig Reger with Reger Homes. We're going to hit the market this next Monday. We know it's not uncommon that you know folks or friends or family that might want to live in our neighborhood. If you do, would you pass my neighbor or my realtor's card along? And we've really enjoyed being your neighbor, Chris and Nina. So we're going to send out 100 of those letters from you. Mark my words, we'll get a response. But it gets even better, Pam. So thanks for the great idea. Chris, I'm going to be successful and I'm going to sell your property, period. And if all goes well and we price it correctly, I'm going to get you several offers. Maybe not as many offers as I could have gotten you a year ago, but I'm going to get you full price or above more times than not. So I'm going to go to your house. I've actually got one of these at 4 o'clock today. We're about 75,000 over asking. It's high five, Chris. Like, congrats on the 75 over asking. You've got a 60-day free rent back, limited contingencies. Congrats. So are you stoked? Of course you are. Chris, you know that letter we sent out? I got a lot of responses, and it's not uncommon that buyer does come from the neighborhood. So thanks for letting me do that. Can I ask for your help? I love your neighborhood. I truly do. And I'd love to get more listings in your neighborhood. And I can tell all the neighbors how great I am, but I found that if you tell them, there's a much greater likelihood of them choosing me or interviewing me as their agent. Can I send another letter out from you and Nina? It's just going to say, dear neighbors, we successfully received multiple offers on our property and sold above asking. You know, we heard the new clients are XYZ or the new buyers are. Anyway, we've enjoyed being your neighbor. I promised my realtor, Craig Reger, if he did a great job, I'd refer him to family and friends. If you are thinking of selling your home, I'd highly encourage you to interview the Reger group. So going out of script, Chris, if I send 100 of those out from your name, by the way, do we not open mail that's from our own neighborhood? Won't we open that before? Because it's got your return address, not mine. Right? Won't we open that mail first? Is there a high probability that folks in the neighborhood are going to call me to list their property? Absolutely.
Yeah. The Heller team will be changing their just listed and just sold letters as of today.
I don't know why everybody doesn't do it. And, you know, there's going to be a million questions on this. And at the end of the day, it's perfectly legal. Check with your broker if you have concerns. And they're like, well, what about all the return mail? So, okay, Chris, you might get some return mail to your mailbox, throw it out. Like, this is how you get your phone to ring and get more listings in the neighborhood. It's truly pure gold.
It is. I love that. What other ideas? You know, you get you're in a unique position as we are. We get to deal with a lot of teams and agents. You get to deal with a lot of teams and agents. What are some of the things that you're focusing on, or some of the challenges that you're hearing about that that seem to be, you know, pretty broad based?
Yeah, one more on listings, and then boy, we could take another 2 hours and go over challenges we hear about on a daily basis. The other thing we're doing with listings, and this goes back to re-engaging those old leads, especially if we've got a middle to upper price point listing. So again, there was a lot of folks, we hear it daily on our team or the folks we coach. I don't know what happened, Craig. They were looking at a bunch of homes that they just ghosted me. There is not a buyer on the planet who doesn't want to know about an off-market property. I crack up when agents say that they're going to set up searches for people. Chris, if they found Ojo or they found Zillow or they found Realtor.com, they don't need another search set up. They probably have 6 or 7 set up between those sites or a million others. Is that fair?
Absolutely.
But if we can, sorry, go ahead.
No, they do. Look, I do as someone who's always looking at real estate. Everyone does.
Yeah, setting up searches is not our unique value proposition any longer, but sharing with a consumer an off-market property. So we love to take that listing, especially our medium to upper price point ones, and just call up anybody that's a potential match. Hey, Chris, it's Craig Reger. I know we haven't spoken in a number of months. I know you're looking in Northwest Washington County in Portland, Oregon, and we've got a property hitting the market this Saturday. It's listed at 1.1 million. It's in great condition on a level half acre. And I wanted to share this with you before we open it up to the general public. Do you have any interest in still buying a house this spring? Right? You call up a dozen best fit matches with that script, you're going to get 2 or 3 that raise their hand. So number one, you've re-engaged a group, you've provided a value. It's one of the few things that they can't find online is off-market properties. And then the second part of it is if we're focusing on using that script at our middle to upper end properties, there's a high probability that person needs to sell their home before they can buy. So we're re-engaging, and also we're very much using it as a listing lead source. For issues that we're seeing in the market or consistent problems, if we focus gears and talk about teams.
Yeah.
This, Chris, I saw you and Jeremiah and a group of Ojo folks, and you're on stage, did a great job at Inman in January, New York. One of the common messages I heard either from the stage or from the networking and dinners I was part of is don't be surprised if 75% of your team is not on your team come 12/31. It's a really high number. And we're seeing across the board that there is a lot of team members and agents for that matter as well that were absolutely slaying it in the COVID market. And because they haven't readjusted to today's market, they don't have the discipline, they're not blocking their calendar, they're not reaching out, providing value, they're struggling miserably. So I haven't lost sight of that 75%. And if I was talking to my coaching clients or anybody on here that owns or manages or leads a team, you can only do so much. Our goal every single day is to give them the strategies, help them with their mindset, potentially give them leads, give them scripts, conversion tactics, opportunities or gold bars to reach out to those leads. And at the end of the day, if they're not willing to put that work in and do the work themselves, I would ask that team owner or that sales manager, why are you continuously going through the brain damage of trying to convince them of what it's going to take to be successful? Put that energy either into your own business or finding some people that are more motivated to succeed in today's market. But that's become a really common struggle is teams with team members are not willing to do the activities, and it's causing a lot of frustration.
Yeah, it does. You know, and some teams will try to create more processes around that, do those things. But ultimately, if we don't have people that have strong desire to achieve, it's really hard to get them to do so. You know, you got to have that desire. And if you're surrounded by people who don't, then you need to look at, you know, who you're spending your time with, as you said.
Can I share something really quick, Chris, that popped up this morning for me? So I just got back in town from visiting my son at Clemson. He's a freshman. So I was catching up on emails. This went out last night at 10:39 p.m. On our team, we just use a little email as a way to share what we put in escrow. So this is from one of our agents, Rich. So agent referral from Southern Cal. So an agent referred this buyer to our team here in Portland, Oregon. They read our reviews on Zillow, and he said between the reviews and answering the phone first time he called, we are his agents. So Chris is motivated, or Rich is motivated the team, says keep getting those reviews. And it looks like Rich and Rocky got this client into contract last night on Donald Street. And the reason I want to share that is similar to Uber or Amazon and that speed to lead and using the connect, set, learn. Consumers are looking at us online. And this client actually shared with Rich, hey, I chose you for two reasons. You referred to me, but I chose you because of your online reviews, and also you picked up the phone when I called. We do hear, and I've used it a lot today, that word ghosting. And online consumers, open house leads, in this case, even referrals, they've got choices. You shared it earlier, Chris. Everybody knows an agent. So when they meet these agents, they're looking them up online. And if you don't have a strong review system in place and a bunch of 5-star reviews on numerous different sites, and they meet another agent that also picked up the phone and he or she's got a strong presence online with 5-star reviews, that alone can be the reason why they ghosted you and you have no idea why. It's because they chose this other agent because of what other people have said about them. Isn't that how we pick our restaurants, our hotels, even countries we travel to? So if that's not a leg of your business, you're missing an opportunity, and I will guarantee it's costing you business.
Yeah. And you know, what's interesting about that hasn't changed. I mean, I remember it was probably more than 20 years ago, a seller saying, I had this happen, 2 different sellers. One said, hey, the reason that I'm meeting with you is I called 10 agents off 10 signs. You were the first one to respond, and you were only one of 3 that responded.
At all.
He called 10 agents, 7 of them didn't even respond. And then the other one I remember this vividly. We were at the end signing the agreement. He said, you want to know why I chose you? And I said, yeah, I'd love to know, actually. He said, I asked you and every other agent why I should hire you and what you do that's different, you were the only one that had an answer that came out clearly, concisely, and without hesitation. So being able to demonstrate our value proposition and being able to know the answer to those questions, what do you do that's different? Why should I hire you? Why should I do business with you? Why should you let you represent me as a buyer? We have to know that stuff, and we have to be able to communicate it. And then to Craig's point, man, we gotta be super responsive. Expectations of consumers now are higher than they've ever been, and that's going to continue on. And so are our expectations as consumers. So treat the people the way we want to be treated, which is respond immediately to their needs.
Well, interesting, Chris. It just goes back to speed to lead. It just goes back. And in the old days, you and I have been doing this for a while. Like we would have these typed up sheets for our buyer consults or our listing presentations with all these written testimonials. That's still a great opportunity to bring to your first meetings, but make no mistake, they're looking you up online. So speed to lead combined with a strong online review presence is going to equate to what, a half dozen plus more sales easily.
Yep.
Easily throughout the course of the year.
Yep. Hey, we could keep talking for the rest of the day, but there's a lot of questions and I want to make sure that we continue to get to those. So let me just look at some of the questions in here. What about leads that never answer or responds to any type of communication? What do you do with those?
You keep following up. You simply just keep following up. One of my top agents, she's now a business partner. Her name's Andrea. And one of the reasons that Andrea was she sold 142 homes when she was 25 years old, 3 years in the business, Chris. I would consider that highly successful. And her philosophy is, unless somebody's really mean, like really horribly mean, you just follow up. And there's a big difference between being horribly mean and maybe you just caught them at a bad time. Right. So in some series of text, phone call, and email, she would follow up with a lead like that every 30 days. And the story, the ending of it's just fascinating. The most common response she would get when they finally engaged is the opening words be, "I'm sorry. Hey, Chris, I'm sorry. I know you've been trying to reach me and I've had a lot going on and blah, 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 blah. This just happened and we're ready to conduct real estate. Can we meet with you?" So it's just a simple system. It doesn't have to be a novel. It's a check-in. It's a gold bar. It's an item of value. It's an update on the market. And we don't get our feelings hurt if they ignore us. We just simply keep following up. And when they're ready, because of what you've done throughout that process, there's a high probability they're going to say, "Hey, now your timing's perfect. Let's move forward."
Yeah, I'll give an extreme example of that. This has popped into my head. This happened a couple of years ago. A consumer reached out to my team and said, "Hey, we met Chris in 1991. He's been sending us letters, note cards, emails, well, not emails since then, but since the internet. But I've been, sending them stuff like we do everyone in our database, and they are finally ready to do something. We haven't met these people in 91, never had a conversation with them since, but because we followed up when they were ready to sell, there was no doubt who they were going to call."
Yeah, you don't throw away a lead. You just stay, you don't give them your extreme effort, but you've got a system to stay in touch. It works. It always works.
Yep. So another question, in this market, when people, when they call us and they want to see a property, now when they're calling us and we can't because the property is not available, we're not available, what's the best dialogue? How do you handle that?
Well, number one is I would never know that, Chris, because I don't look at the multiple listing when I get Ojo leads. I will not pull it up because it just creates a rabbit trail and an ambush, and it loses the focus of connect, set, learn. I'm connecting with enthusiasm. I'm sharing why Ojo connected me. I'm setting an appointment and I'm learning about their motivation and the most important things to them. This has nothing to do with the property whatsoever. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm setting that appointment. Chris, I'm thrilled to see you at 3 o'clock tomorrow. I do need to confirm with the seller that time works for them. And for right now, let's pencil in 3 o'clock tomorrow. When we hang up, here's what's going to happen next. I'm going to reach out. I'm going to confirm 3 works for them. I'm going to send you a text so you have all of my personal contact info, and I'll confirm that time. If for some reason that time doesn't work for them, I'll give you some alternate times to make sure we get in there tomorrow. So I wouldn't even know any of that, Chris, because I don't look at the multiple listing. I'm setting an appointment for a mutually agreeable time between them and myself. And I'm giving an asterisk next to it. Hey, this may not work for the person that lives in the property, and I'll let you know. But that's goal number one, is I'm setting that appointment. So Maybe that's not the answer everybody was hoping for or looking for. You look at the multiple listing, you've got an array of problems. I want to connect, I want to set, I want to learn. That's going to be a 2 to 3 minute conversations. And I set clear expectations that after connect, set, learn, here's what could happen next. I'll be in touch within 10 minutes.
Yep. So it's another question just popped up in regards to that. What happens when we find out the property's pending? Hey, I think that's good news in most cases, right? Because it gives you an opportunity to say, hey, you know what, we had that appointment for 3 o'clock tomorrow. I talked to the seller and agent and just found out that they actually had accepted an offer a few days ago. But let me ask you, what about that property were you interested in? What attracted you? Because I may be able to find others that are just as good or hopefully even better. You know, it gives you that opportunity to go with them. How would you handle that, Craig?
Exactly the same, Chris. And the only part I'd add is in learn, connect, set, learn. Like, guys, this is pure gold. And there's a series by Jeremiah and Heller on YouTube under Ojo. Read it, study it, watch it, practice it. It will change your business. I swear it will. Is the only other thing in learn is, Chris, they found this property online. Right? They didn't drive by it. They found it online. So is this the only property they've seen? So as part of learn, I'm asking in that initial call is, Chris, what about this property got you so excited? Oh, your in-laws live in the neighborhood. This is the school you wanted. And then my follow-up is there any other properties you saw in your search that you'd like to get inside if I can schedule? So it's not uncommon. I'd say 50% of the time when I wrap up that first call, I've got 2 or 3 homes to show them, or at least an agreement they're going to find those and text them to me. So I'm not too worried about that property being sold. And I did see a question pop up, Chris, about we're finding out they're not approved. Okay, well, let's go through a lead source like Ojo. In a perfect world, if you're over a period of time, whether that's a week or 2 months, you get 10 connections. We would like you to set appointments with 7 or 8 of them. Set the appointment. Out of that, you should meet probably 5 of them in some capacity, face-to-face, a virtual showing, a buyer consult. If it goes to traditional real estate, you're meeting with 5 out of that 10. And then our hope and expectation is you're going to get a half to 2 escrows. So that's a 5 to 20% conversion. So let's even go at a 10% conversion, which is extremely likely when handled correctly on an Ojo lead. Ladies and gentlemen, that means there's 9 leads you don't have to sell homes to. There's 9 people that don't have to get qualified. There's 9 people that maybe you didn't feel a connection with or wanted to spend your time with. So in my mind, I don't have no problem spending 30 minutes of my day running over and showing a property at 1 o'clock tomorrow and realizing at this point, maybe they're not approved or what have you. Cool. They go in my CRM. I stay in relationship with them 3, 6, 12, 36 months later, they're my next client. So it's a pretty easy process.
It really is. And don't overthink things, folks. Don't overcomplicate it. Just take the action, take the activities. Another question, and I don't remember what this was. Earlier in the conversation, we were talking about something that says, isn't it in the best interest of a seller to have their home hit the market to get the best price? I think that was in relationship to
the letter.
Yeah.
So the script on it is, Chris, can I get your help? I want to maximize the ability to get you the most amount of offers. One thing we know that is not uncommon is the buyer from your neighborhood could very well come from a family or friend who lives down the street. So Chris, what I'd like to do is send a letter from you, not me, because they're going to open up your letters faster than mine because it's from their neighborhood. And it's going to say, dear neighbors, Nina and I are selling our property. We're going to hit the market this Monday. If you know anybody interested, please have them reach out to my agent or have their agent call my agent, whatever it is. And nowhere in that did I say I'm not going to hit the market. I'm simply using your listing as a marketing strategy to find other people in the neighborhood, show value to them for what I do. And then where it all comes together is after we go pending. So in no way did I say don't hit the market. I'm just using this listing that's 3-4 days from hitting the market as leverage and marketing to get a buzz in the neighborhood. And then when I send that second follow-up letter from Chris and Nina, hey, we just sold our home and I promised my agent, Craig Reger, if you did a good job, I'd share it with people I know. If you're considering selling your house this summer, I'd highly encourage you to interview Craig Reger. So does that answer the question?
It does. It does. Hey, Jeremiah, can I share your story real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
So Jeremiah's home is in escrow right now. And that's exactly what he did. He let all his neighbors know that they were going to be moving. One of their neighbors had a good friend who's been wanting to live in the neighborhood, and that neighbor came in and made Jeremiah an offer, and he negotiated up and used the idea of, hey, putting it on the market. I may get more, so if you want to buy my house, here's what's going to take, and the people stepped up and bought it. So that type of thing happens all the time. It's just whether we're the ones involved with it or we're the ones facilitating it.
It works. I mean, it is not uncommon. A buyer comes from somebody in the neighborhood. So we're getting in front of that. And then that wrap-up letter is where the gold really happens. Like, who doesn't want to list a property, have 100 letters go out from the owner that say, hey, this team or this agent did a great job. If you're thinking about selling, I'd highly encourage you to interview them. Like, you will get that second or third listing every single time. And I don't remember the last time it failed, Chris.
Yeah. Hey,
I'll add to that too.
Oh, go ahead.
As because a lot of agents get wrapped up in this, like, well, but if you don't put it on the market, you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know that you maximize them. Well, as a consumer going through this, I'm okay with that because I don't have to deal with showings. I don't have to deal with people coming through my house. I don't have to deal with putting my property all over the internet. I got a deal that I'm relatively certain is going to close. It saved me some headache. And did I leave a few dollars on the table? Maybe. And I'm okay with it. And at the end of the day, our job as agents is to help people get what they want, when they want it, in the way that they want it. And if it's what the seller wants, I would encourage you to help them get that. Chris, back to you.
Yeah, on the just listed, just sold letters, Craig, there's a question. Do you use a service for sending those out, or what's the mechanics?
Yeah, that service is my 17-year-old daughter getting paid minimum wage. So we get a list from the time. I mean, yeah, you could outsource it in this market. We are keeping pennies tight to our chest. So we just got a list from our title company. It's like ring favorite title company. Hey, I've got 123 Main Street in Beaverton, Oregon hitting the market. Can you give me the nearest 100 properties that are seller occupied to that? Title company will send those over actually with labels made. And then we write the letter. We make copies of it, or my daughter writes a bunch of them and she stuffs the envelopes and we put them in the mail. It's an easy process.
Yeah, I've put clients' kids to work, neighborhood kids to work. I mean, there's plenty of people that can help you with these things. All right, so let's leave it. I think we're running close to time here. Leave one last thought, Craig. Any piece of advice that you think would be beneficial for everyone watching the recording?
Yeah, can I give 2 or 3 fast ones?
Please.
Mindset. It's been a wild few years. The world's been wild. The COVID market, like putting aside COVID, like what happened in that market and what we dealt with as realtors, it was like nothing we will likely ever see again. It was crazy, long days, exhausting, clients offering hundreds of thousands over asking and losing. It was wild. And then we shift into what I believe is a much more traditional market. I mean, it's a little bizarre. We've got really low inventory. That's kind of weird in a shifting market. But we're shifting back to normal. We're shifting back to building relationships, and we're shifting to, it may take 6 months to get somebody under contract. Doesn't mean you give them all of your time for 6 months. It just means you may have to stay in a relationship for 6 months. So number one is check your mindset every day. Do affirmations, read books, podcast, webinars, put yourself in a place where you start each day as positive as a mindset as you can possibly have, because there's a lot of things pulling at us. Number 2 is consistency. And consistency can be either way. I'm consistently not doing the right activities, or I'm consistently doing the right activities. I'm studying the markets. I have time blocked on my calendar that 9 out of 10 times I actually complete what I'm supposed to do, and I have the discipline to do it. And I reach out to those leads from a month ago, 3 months ago, 6 months ago, and I check in. Yeah, to me, that's the mindset and the consistency and the discipline will be the biggest 3 factors of somebody really crushing this market or somebody really struggling.
Awesome. Well, Craig, thank you very, very much. Great information here. I'm sure people have tons of pages of notes, and we'll take a bunch of pages of notes off the recordings. Jeremiah, I think there's some information you want to share. Craig, again, thank you. We always appreciate your contributions.
Hey, Craig, before you sign off, you hosted a scripting masterclass or some script master that was tremendous. We got a lot of great feedback. I've seen no less than a dozen asks for scripts here. How could people connect with you or with RCC to get more dialed into scripts in your world?
Yeah, that'd be amazing. You can just reach out to Craig at craigreger.com. You can Google Reger Coaching. We have an entire library of scripts. Very happy to provide those. We've got a copy of that letter, both copies of it, Chris, the letter we send out pre-market, the letter we send out closing. So if there's anything you're looking for, info at regercoaching.com. We're all over. We're easy to find. So I think Jen is going to send out a link with all of our sites and our best email addresses. So if you've attended today, you're getting a copy of that. And at the end of the day, we've got a coaching company because we have a phenomenal business. Yet at the end of the day, there's always a new challenge in this industry, and we want to help guide agents through that with less brain damage. So by all means, anything you guys need, that's what we do. That's what we're here for.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks so much. And I see Bella's in the chat. Bella, oh, there it is. She beat me to it. That's how she always does. She put your website there for Reger Coaching. You've got email address for success at regercoaching.com. So if y'all want more from Craig, grab it there. Again, thank you so much, Craig. This was tremendously valuable. I was taking tons of notes, and I'm going to give just a couple quick things on winning with Ojo as a way to wrap up here. Can you all see this? Somebody give me a thumbs up. Chris, Jenna, somebody? Okay, cool. You guys can see it. So Craig and Chris talked about this. Connect, set, learn. Craig has been so kind as to allow us to build on this framework. We're going to continue to coach to this. This can be a little call guide for you. We'll continue to produce more content. It's all about connect, build rapport at that first connection, set the appointment, make it easy for them. People want the easy button. And learn about the client's motivation, learn about them, and learn so that you can help them. Very tactically with Ojo, I saw a few questions in the chat about like, hey, what's the best way for me to get some help from the concierge team? So when you go to your Ojo agent tools, you get to those Ojo agent tools by going to referrals.ojo.me. Again, that's referrals.ojo.me. You should bookmark that on your phone's homepage. When you click on any one of your referrals at the top, there's this green button that says help with referral. All you have to do here is just say need help getting in contact, whatever you need here. Now there's a bunch of different ways that you can use this. The number one way that we see is you click need help getting in contact. We have a team that will pick up the phone, we'll start dialing, and we'll see if we can help you get back in touch with the client. This is better than releasing people for being unresponsive. If you release them, that's still going to count towards your metrics. That was an opportunity that you won. So you want to continue to be diligent, do your best to get in touch. And if you need a little bit of help, we're here to help as well. The second is we've gotten a few questions, especially here in spring, as things, kind of pick up the pace. Hey, what happens when you introduce me to a consumer that's looking in more than one area or a consumer that's searching in more than one place? I'm going to go over how you do that. But while I do that, I want you all to go in the chat and just type out, I'm still here. Because if you are still here, Jenna's going to put a link because the Ojo attorneys require that we give you the link for the terms and conditions of our free merch giveaway. So Jenna's going to give you the link. You don't need to click on it, but if you want to know the terms and conditions, they're here. Y'all are typing, I'm still here. We're going to give out some Ojo merch. All right, while you're typing, when somebody's no longer looking in your area, there's two important things to know here. Number one, if we refer you to somebody and then they come back to Movoto.com and they submit an inquiry on another property, whether that property is in your area or in another area, you're going to get an email from us. That email is clientsubmissions@email.ojorealestateagent.com. Yeah, I know, super easy to remember, short, perfect, right? We will send this out to you. Make sure that you copy that, you whitelist it in your email inbox, and you make sure that it doesn't go to spam, mark it as a VIP, whatever you need to do, because what's going to happen is when that consumer we introduce you to submits any subsequent lead inquiry on any property, this is where we're going to notify you. Now, let's say that you were near Craig up in Portland, Oregon, and now suddenly this person is looking in Naples, Florida. As agents, what we would normally do is we would go find an agent in Naples, Florida, and we would refer that person. What we're asking at Ojo, and it's in red at the bottom, don't refer these consumers to another agent yourself. From time to time, agents do this. We know it's just being good-natured, but it creates this weird referral fee processing loop that we have to go through. The best thing to do is, one, if they are no longer looking in your market at all, release them, type in the notes. They're not looking in my market. They're looking in Naples, Florida, or wherever it is. that's fine. Our concierge team will take care of it from there. If they are still looking in your market and they're also looking in another market, all you need to do is click that need help with referral. Just hit the other button here. We will type out and then type out they're looking in Naples, Florida, wherever they're looking. Our concierge will reach out. We will get them a second agent. We'll take care of it. And then you'll be dialed in doing the right thing. So thank you all so much. We will continue to provide more and more opportunities for training and education. We appreciate all of your partnership. If you have a question about merch, you can email me. My email is jtaylor@ojo.com. I will help make sure that you got your merch if you won merch. Again, Craig, thank you so much for doing this. This was a tremendous amount of value. All of our agent partners, we appreciate you. It's 101. We're out of here. Thank you so much. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks, Ojo. Thanks, everyone.